My next guest is one of the most promising bantamweight prospects in the country. He is the Fury FC Bantamweight Champion, and he joins me right now. His name is Mr. Cameron Smotherman. Cam Jam. My cousin's name's Cameron. You probably heard that your entire life, but I have to call you that. That's like
Hey,
one
I'm with
time I
you.
had to say it. I had to.
I'm with you. You got to say it every time now.
Wow, what a 12, 13 months it's been for you, my friend. Like, what your life was like at this point last year. I feel like that was like a fork in the road for you. Just set the scene for us. What happened last year that was so pivotal? I'd love for you to just tell that story. So give it to me.
So okay, so last April, I had a fight with I knew the guy was a black belt. Like he I think he was a coach at a school, and I've heard the jiu-jitsu in California is supposed to be so much better than the jiu-jitsu in Texas. So I'm like, all right, well, I probably shouldn't take this fight because it's not a safe fight, whatever. But I was like, I don't want to be that guy who doesn't fight anybody and gets cherry picks every fight to get to the big show. I'm like, I feel like I put in the work to beat this guy, and so I never believed in like cross training. I never went to other gyms, but for this fight, I was like, flew all the way out to Vegas and I was working with Rafian Stotts every single day. Me and him in Vegas, and even back home. And I was there for 2 weeks, and I was just like really just I was buying like instructional videos on everything. I'm doing everything I can to make sure I win this fight. And so the fight happens, and I lose. It's a split decision, and everybody's like, even after the fight, like right after the fight ended, I remember looking cage side, and I was like asking people in the crowd, like people that worked for Fury, like the cameraman, the commission, whoever's there, even the commission, right? I'm like, I got that right. Like I got two rounds to one, right? And everybody's like, yeah, I think you got it. So then they say the other guy wins, and I'm devastated. I never worked so hard, and to come up short, it was devastating. And then the other thing was, I think at that time, I think that put me at like I think I was like 4-3 or something at the time. I was like, bro, this record is not like 'cause I'm looking when you look at the top guys, like at the top of every division, nobody has more than like two losses really. Everybody has one loss or is undefeated. And I'm like, how am I supposed to? And I'm not a guy who wants to just say I was there. I don't want to, get there and be like, oh look, I'm here, I made it. Like that's not my goal. I want to get there and I want to thrive. So I'm like, okay, I have three losses now. I've never gotten beat up, but like it doesn't matter. Like, why am I losing to guys like this? And I was just like, if I'm not gonna be able to get there and perform at the very best, I'm like, I don't have no business doing this. Like I'm like I said, I'm not a guy who's just happy to be there. And so I was like, I'm done. Like I told my family, I was like, look, I don't. This isn't for me. I'm not gonna sit here and waste everybody's money. Hustle to sell tickets, and like tickets are $65 and parking's like $20, and then everybody wants to buy drinks and they want to go out to eat after. And I'm like, this is a lot of money for just regular people. Like I don't have a rich family.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't ask people to spend all this money on me, and then I don't produce results. I'm like, okay, I was done. I was like, thank you guys for supporting me, but like I can't sit here in good faith and feel like I'm wasting everybody's time and my own time. I'm like, this takes a lot of work. Like I have a life. I've given up like friends. I don't get to go out. I don't because I feel like I have to dedicate. I'm always tired. It makes me a grumpy person. I'm like, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into getting ready for these fights. When you take it seriously, like how I do. So I'm like, okay, and for me to be 4-3, like fucking 500 fighter, like, nah, this isn't. I'm not. I can't do it. And my mom was like, look, I understand what you're saying, but she was like, listen, you've never gotten beat up. She's like, yeah, you've lost these fights, but you've never sitting there and gotten beat up. Like, we never been like, we can't look at this. Like, so she was like, please just give it one more year. If you're not where you want to be in 1 year or super close to it, then I'm okay with you quitting. But it's like, and she's like, and you know how much I don't want you to do this. Like I'm your mom. I don't want to see you get hit. I don't want to. I can't. But just give it one more year. You've put in too much work. You've been so dedicated. I've never seen anybody so dedicated. And so I was like, man, it was tough, but I was like, all right, I'll give it one more year, and shit. Now we're here, like
And now
finally.
we're here. Like now we're here indeed, sir. And I wanted to, when you reflect back on that, um, can you talk a little bit about the role that your coaches and your teammates had behind the scenes? I feel like those are often the unsung heroes in
Mm.
in a lot of these stories, and they're a big part of the comeback. So when you're back at the gym, you have that discussion with your family, you make that determination that okay, we're not done yet. Like we're going to press on, even though we don't want to, we're going to press on anyway. What role did your teammates and your coach have in bringing you back up? Like what happened like when you re-entered that gym for the very first time coming off of such a painful loss?
So the funny thing, I didn't tell my teammates at all. Like I told, like I think I talked to Adrian, and like I was like, Adrian, I was like, bro, I think I'm done. And Adrian was like, nah, like chill, like it's all right, like you're gonna get back. He was like, look, I got 3 losses, and like he's like, it's okay, you're gonna be all right. But other than that, I didn't tell anybody. But I talked to my mom, and I was like, all right. Oh no, actually, my my mom actually went to the gym with me, I think the very next day. Because we fought on Sunday, and then on that Monday I went and just worked out by myself. She's never ever gone to the gym, but she came that day, and then she talked to my strength conditioning coach, Phil, and they like he just like they went to the side, and I just started working out, whatever, just working the sweat. And then Adrian's like my big brother. He would call me, like check on me, like, see where my head's at. And he was just like so like all right, funny story. The reason I went to Metro was because I saw Adrian on TV one day back when he was fighting LFA. And I was like, man, that guy was good. I was with my girlfriend. I was like, man, that guy's good. Like he fights like how I envision myself fighting in the future. And so I was like, wow. And just, I never minded. And then one day a couple months later, I was scrolling through the channel, and I saw LFA. I was like, oh yeah, like I like fight. Like this is when it's brand new. And so I seen him, and I said, fighting out of Houston, Texas. I was like, whoa, this guy is here. He's this close. Like I need to go train with him. And so I would show up, and I just kept showing up. He would beat the life out of me. I mean, just it was disrespectful. Like there was no reason to beat me up as bad as he beat me up. But I would just keep showing up, and I was like, every day I was like, today's the day I'm gonna get him. Today's the day I'm gonna get him. And so it got to the point where like eventually I built a connection with him, and now he's one of my good friends. But back when I was still an amateur, he flew me out to Vegas for his UFC debut. And I was and I we were exploring Vegas. It was both of our first times ever in Vegas. And I was just like, hey, bro, like thanks for bringing me. Like you could have brought anybody. Like thanks. And he was like, nah, like he's like, I'm not that night. Or he was just like, no, like don't worry about it. I just know that you're gonna be here one day, and I don't want it to be so new to you. And like I'm an amateur, like I don't like I haven't even I think I had like maybe like 2 or 3 amateur fights, but he already believed in me back then. And so he's somebody I respect because I'm there because I saw him on TV. So whenever I have him like reassuring me, like, listen, you're gonna be okay, like you're gonna be okay. And then Rafian was same thing. Rafian Stotts, like if I have a world champion telling me like I'm good, I can do this. I'm like, all right, I can't give up. I have to see this through.
Can you talk to me, Cam, a little bit about knowing what you know now, right? Like you're on the precipice of doing something very special in your career, but knowing what you know now, like you're a big deal, like where you're from. I know you're a humble guy, but you're a big deal where you're from. Like there are people there are kids that are in high school or whatever that see you on Fury and they're like, man, that guy is the truth. Like I want to like train. I want to be like Mike, right? Like that's what they think about when they see people like you. Now you have a huge opportunity ahead of you. So if there's like an amateur that's like 3-3 out there,
Mm-hmm.
and, right, and they got their head down, they're not, and they're in a similar point mentally where you were 12 or 13 months ago, based off of what you've learned in your life as going through that adversity so early on in your career, like what are some tips, or what would you tell somebody in a similar position that's wondering if this is really for them or not, if they were in a position like you were not that long ago? What would you tell somebody like that?
I said a quote that kind of changed my life is comparison is the thief of joy. And it's like you cannot compare yourself to anybody else. Like I never in a million years would have thought that I would lose 3 times on the regional scene. Like I was like, there's no way. Like I did everything I could, and it's like it happened. And I'm like, and like I said, I was looking at the records of all these guys at the top, and I'm like, I know that I'm good. I know that I have skills. Like why am I losing? And it's just like that doesn't matter. None of that matters as long as you know that you're putting in the work. You got to keep chopping the tree, keep chopping the tree, and eventually the tree goes down.
Yeah, straight up. I think that's one of those things where it's like you don't know. You'll always wonder, like, there's a limited time in your life where you can do this, right? Like, by the time you're 40 years old, you're not going to be
Right.
at a high level. You might compete,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be at the level that you're
Yeah.
compete at, right? I think that's
Yeah.
safe to say. So, it's just kind of an interesting observation where it's like, you don't want to be that guy that walked away too early and wondered like what could have been,
What if?
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the general theme that I've gotten having talked to hundreds of fighters out there. Like that seems to be kind of like the key point where it's like, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
At what point do I throw it in? Maybe that's later on down the road, but I'm not quite sure it's now. Cam, I wanted to ask you, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to ask you about your most recent fight in Fury. It was for the
Mhm.
Bantamweight Championship. That guy that you beat is the truth. I've seen that guy fight many times. He
Mhm.
had way more experience than you. He's a dangerous guy. That guy chokes people out. He knocks people out. He's a lot older than you. You fought a grown ass man in there, probably the toughest fight of your career. And I looked at this fight when it got announced in the winter.
Mhm.
Looked at this fight and I was just like, this guy's really close. Is he good enough to beat this guy? I really don't know. I was like, we're about to find out. Like, this fight is going to tell me a lot about him because in the bantamweight class, I don't know if there's a tougher fight for him. I really don't. Like, this is it. Talk to me about how you were able to set up that finish, that second round finish over a very dangerous opponent. I don't think you quite get, I know you got a shiny belt for that, but like that guy is very dangerous and he's very skilled. I mean, can you like talk me through how you set that up? Because one mistake against a guy of the caliber of your opponent, and that's it for you. And you had to have felt that. You had to have known that, like as you were fighting him, as the fight was progressing, like sensing that danger and what he's capable of. I know you're the man too, but I mean, your opponent. I have to give him credit because he's very, very talented and very, very dangerous.
Yeah, no, I mean he like the feeling in the feeling like around me was like, oh, like that guy has nothing for you. And it's like that was my mindset going in. It's like, you respect everybody, you respect their skills, you respect what they're good at. But I was like I was at again. I was talking to Adrian at that time, and I was like something about this fight just feels different. Like even my interactions with the commissioner, my interaction with Fury and just the other fighters, I was like it really felt like my time. I was like, there's no way that I can lose this fight. Like it was just like everything felt so familiar, and everything just I was like, all right, I've grown to the point where like I have to move up. Like and it's like it didn't matter who I was gonna fight. Like there's no way I wasn't gonna do what I did, and it was just like yeah, it just felt like mentally I've grown up into a fighter that like I'm as good in the gym as I am in the fights now.
You went ahead, you finished him, you got that belt wrapped around your waist. And was that like a powerful moment for you? Like you went in there and yes, like it's one thing to like execute and work on your game plan and have all the chips fall, but this is a special fight. Like it's a title fight. It's on Fight Pass. You headlined the card. Like, what did that mean for you to like get that belt? Like, you're talking about 12 months from thinking about hanging it up for good to getting a belt wrapped around your waist. Like, that's a powerful moment.
Yeah, it's funny because like I I really didn't even process the belt. Like I was just like literally what I was thinking was like, is this good enough to get my call up now? Is this good enough to get my call up? Because they were telling me I was close. They were telling me I was close, and I thought the fight before that was enough to get me the call up. And they're like, yeah, now we need you to fight one more time. And I was like, I don't. I felt. I almost felt like, okay, like all right, I did it now. Like I proved it. Like, can I go now? Can I go play with my friends now? I did my chores. Can I go play now? Like that's really what it felt like. It was like it was. I didn't even like relish in the moment. I was just like, all right, I'm ready. Like let's go.
At what point did you get contacted? I know that you're limited in what you can tell me. I understand that. But at what point did you hear from your management, hear from your representatives that there was going to be an opportunity for you to compete later on this summer in the Contender Series? At what point did you get that call?
So I heard about it. I want to say okay, I fought Casey Jones like two fights ago,
Yep.
and they were telling me I was close, or they're telling me like, yeah, you know, like you like we can pitch it to you or whatever. So like I fought him, and I was like, all right, that fight was kind of a snoozer. Like it wasn't a snoozer. It wasn't my best work. But then when I fought, or they're telling me if I got a nice finish after that, that'd probably be good enough for a call up. So then once I finished him, I was like, hey, I got a walk off knockout. Like that's what I needed, right? Like I'm in. And they're like, yeah, you know, maybe. And so I was like, all right. So then they gave me the title fight on short notice because the other guy got called up to the Ultimate Fighter.
Mhm.
And I actually didn't want that fight, but Adrian actually said yes, and then I just like woke up with a contract, and I'm like, I don't want this fight, but they're like, hey, if you win this, then you're in. So it was kind of like the feeling kind of was since like last November that I was gonna get the call up, and they were like, hell yeah, like I don't know if I actually needed to fight, but they were like, yeah, no, you're in, bro. Just take this fight, and you're in. But it's like, hey, but take that fight too, and you're in. It's like they were telling me I was in since last November, but
Well,
yeah,
now you're in.
yeah, I'm in.
You did what you had to do. Shout out to my friend Alex B. Hunan for breaking that news. I mean, what an opportunity, right? Like you have an
Yeah.
opportunity to go out and fight a really exciting opponent, a guy that I'm excited about. I look at your opponent, and I'm like, okay, this guy can do a lot of things. He's a dangerous guy. He can finish fights. Um, that's a good fight. And I'm not going to ask you so much about that, but what I will ask you about, Cameron, is like now you have like this buildup behind you, right? Like you've built something special, and there's going to be a lot of people from Houston that are going to be tuning in on the Contender Series later this summer to watch you fight. And it reminds me of an interview I did not that long ago, and it was with an Australian girl, and she was getting ready to fight on the Contender Series, and she did all the media all around Australia, right? And it
Mhm.
was a big deal. Like everyone's getting behind her. She goes up to Contender and she falls flat. Like it doesn't work out
Mhm.
for her. She falls flat, and then like I talked to her. Now she's in the PFL. Now I talked to her, and she was just like, I felt like I was fighting for everybody else. All that pressure got to me. It messed with my head. Like I had to like redefine who I was as a result of that entire experience. So I wanted to ask you, with that story in mind, with that case study in mind, like what do you need to do? Like it's great that people are behind you, it's great that people are excited, but like what do you need to do to like kind of stay grounded and remember that this is just another fight?
So I kind of already went through that. It's funny. I was talking the other day. I was like, man, I can slowly feel myself becoming a veteran. Like I'm getting little tricks and little, you know, whatever. But whenever I made my debut, my Coach Saul at the time, him and he was they were telling me that if I went 5-0 in a year, because I would fight all, like if you look at my record, I fight every other month. And they're like, man, if you go 5-0 in the year of your debut, I bet we could get you in the contenders within your first year. And internally, I was like, I don't think I'm ready, but like, I'm not gonna say no to that kind of opportunity. Like, you don't say no. Like, some people don't get it at all.
Right.
And my coach, he would say, he's like, hey, look, like, don't feel like I'm forcing you into doing this. Like, if you don't feel like this is right for you, like, let me know. Like, you don't have to do this. But I'm a fighter, and like, you tell me to fight, I'm gonna go fight. Like, and it's like, yeah, I have my reservations, but and then he was like going through things, and I was like, I feel like I need to get him there. Like he would tell me, like, he's like, look, he's like, I know I don't have a lot of time left, but I want to get these things done before I go. Like, and so I'm like, all right, after you tell me that, like, all right, I'm for sure about to fucking go, get pedal to the metal. And so I'm fighting, and I'm like, everybody's like, oh, like, you can do this, and everybody's believing me, and then I lose, and I'm like, and it was a weird loss. It was like it was weird. Like, it was 10 seconds, whatever. My first loss. I'm like, man, dude, like, just give me a chance to fight, whatever. And then I lose again right after that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? And I'm like rushing back in. It's like, I don't want to take these. Like, I know I'm not like there. I'm not processing. I'm not living. Like, I need to live. And so then I was just like, okay, you know what? Fuck everybody. Like, like, it's only me fighting, because that's the other thing. Whenever I was winning and nonstop, I couldn't sell enough tickets. I couldn't. But then as soon as you lose for the first, no matter how bad, no matter if you got robbed or what, everybody's like, man, like, it's like everybody disappears. So now, like, I'm getting more like DMs and calls and all this than ever before, and I'm like, where were you guys at before? Like, none of you guys would even buy a ticket. I've had so many people tell me they want to come fly to Vegas for this fight, and like, hey man, how do we get tickets? We want to come support. But you wouldn't come by, shows when I'm down the street, but you're willing to fly all the way to Vegas. So I'm like, I'm kind of like, fuck all y'all. Like, I have to win for me. Like, I couldn't care less, because if I, as I, when I win, yes, I'm the man. But as soon as I lose, y'all are nowhere to be found. So, like, I couldn't care less about the noise. It's just no. It's not even. I don't even process that. Just whatever. Like, these people don't. The only people who stay down are my family, like my mom. My dad, my girl. Like, everybody else, they where the wind blows.
What do you what's important? Like, this isn't a normal fight. Like, the Contender series is an audition, right? And it's an audition against another killer just like you. And this guy is going to like test you in every way, shape, and form. This is the toughest fight of your life. So like, it's just an insane dynamic, because like, not only do you have to like beat another guy who's the toughest fight of your life, but you also have to impress Dana White to get a
Yeah.
contract. Like, that blows my mind, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
you should get in just by virtue of winning, because this guy's
Winning.
a
Yeah.
freaking animal. But like, I've also noticed, like, you watch Contender series and you've watched some of these exciting guys, and they fight out of character trying to impress Dana White. They get caught by trying to
Mm-hmm.
swing for the fences. They get countered. Like, it's a really strange dynamic, because it's like, American Idol and a fight mixed into one.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just bizarre. And I wanted to ask you, like, what is the key for an optimal performance? Obviously, you're trying to win, but like, with that dynamic, like, you can't win boring. You also have to be entertaining. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So in your mind, when you try to like unpack the route to victory, what does that look like in your mind, without getting into the specifics about your opponent?
So for me, like I said earlier, like, the way I think about fight, the way I thought about fighting the Regency is like, I'm asking these people to spend a lot of money to come support me, and the least I could do is give them a show. I was actually talking about this with my coach, Eve Edwards, yesterday, and I was like, there's all these like extremely boring fighters, and I'm like, and I was like, I wonder, do they enjoy watching them fight? Like, do they enjoy watching their own fights? Are they a fan of themselves? And I'm like, I just can't imagine like asking people to support me and then just put on a snoozer. So my style is naturally exciting. Like you watch any of my fights, even if they're slower paced, they're exciting. Like my last fight, it was kind of a slower paced fight for me, for my standards, but I knocked him dead, and that's all you remember about the fight. So it's like just naturally how I fight is exciting. Like I purposely fight in a way that I fight how I would want to watch fights. Like I'm my favorite fighter. I love watching me fight because I do what I want to see done. So for me, all I have to do is fight like how I normally do. Like there's no like even if I don't finish this guy, I naturally am so exciting that I know that I'm gonna get a contract as long as I win because how I fight is just catered to excitement. Like I don't know how to have a boring fight. Like I'm gonna throw like I'm trying like it's no secret. I'm trying to knock everybody out. I'm not look I've never shot a takedown since an amateur. I've never like I'm looking to finish fights. So that's what the show's about, and that's how I fight. So it's really no added pressure. Like it's Dana being there or Dana not being there, it doesn't really matter because like once you're in a cage with a killer that's trying to blow your head off, I couldn't care less who's watching. It could be the president. Like I have my own problems to deal with right now. I don't have time to think about anybody else.
The bantamweight division is the most difficult division in the UFC by far. Everyone is freaking good as hell. It's a Shark Tank like
Yeah.
none other. What makes you think that you're ready to swim in the Shark Tank with all these other freaking killers?
So the one good thing about that camp a year ago where I flew to Vegas was that Extreme Couture. And I mean I've never seen anything like that. They have like 60 pros per class. I'm like, this is like, my gym, we got like maybe five people show up. It's a good day, but I'm like 60 pros in here. And not just like, run of the mill pro, like this guy's in Bellator, one UFC. I'm like, what the, like, I've never seen anything like this. But when I was there, I held my own and then some. Like I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like I know, and my training partner Adrian Yannick, like he lost his last one, and Rafian lost their last ones, but they're no slouches. Nobody's counting them out of anything. Those guys can be anybody on any given day, and I'm like, this is who I train with every single day. Like, and if they're co-signing me and then I go and do the things that I'm doing, like there's no doubt in my mind that I'm there. Like I know I'm there.
I have one final question for you, and it's simply this. Excluding a couple of the gentlemen that you just named, I would like to hear your top three bantamweight fighters of all time.
Of all time. I don't know. That's tough. It's tough because you see somebody lose and then everybody counts them out so fast. Like of
So
all
Udo's
time,
got
you
to
get
be in this conversation, right? He's got to be in this list, right?
see. I don't know because he don't have that many fights at bantamweight,
Okay.
but he was a champion, which that's no slouch. But okay, I'm gonna put okay. Dominic Cruz is obviously number
Yes,
one.
he is 100%.
Um, yeah, that's clear. He did it for so long. It's hard. Like it's really hard because I mean everybody is beating everybody. Like
So we
you
got,
can't MMA math it. I really rate Jan.
okay.
His skill's super high, but then you see him lose to Marab. It's like I don't necessarily think I would put Marab up there, but whatever. I'm gonna put Jan and Dominic and I don't know. I don't. Aljo seems pretty hard to beat. So I'll put them three. I
Okay.
don't know.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Cam, I want to give you the final word. I know that you have a lot of people that work with you behind the scenes. If there's anyone that you would like to thank out there or anyone that you would like to shout out before I let you go, I'd love for you to have that chance, sir.
I'm not shouting out any of y'all. I hate all of you. No, I'm just kidding. I gotta thank Eve Edwards. He's been helping me a lot. Obviously, Adrian, Yanez, Rafian Stotts, Phil, Coach Phil. He's always there. Mentally too. And then yeah, and the rest of y'all suck. I don't know, my mom, my dad, yeah, y'all help a lot. But I think everybody else suck.
Hey, well, there you go. Everyone, Cameron will be fighting later on this summer. I don't need to give you any introductions. We got a long time to go. We got 3 or 4 months yet before the fight. I'm sure everyone is going to hear about it in the very near future. But I wanted to get at this guy first, Cameron. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you spending some of your time with me this evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.